today to you folks. Today we're going to do part one of a three-part video series where I give the summary of a recent article I wrote, and the second piece will be a follow-up from my partner Peter, where he asks some questions, tries to dive deeper on something he maybe was interested in or needed more clarity on. And I'll also be responding to your questions if you have any, so please, if you have any thoughts or something you want to know more about as you're listening to the video, please comment below. And the goal of this video specifically was with respect to my recent article, Out with the Bad, In with the Good. We're trying to give you some actionable ideas or tools to use that will help you go today, tomorrow, into making some changes on the stories you bring into your life and allow into your mind that can shape how you interact with the world and allowing you to do so for the better. So, and also as you're listening, if you like what you hear and want to hear more, please try to give this the first video magic attempt, and subscribe, and as it really helps us out. So without further ado, article was Out with the Bad, In with the Good. And this was based on a book that I read by Jonathan Gottschall called The Storytelling Animal. And the book was mainly about how he was summarizing many different story types and the impact story has on our conscious and subconscious mind, and how we are drawn to certain types of stories subconsciously, even when we're sleeping in our dreams. And this is common across all different types of people across the world, all ages, ethnicities, socioeconomic status, what have you. Everyone has a strong tendency to be drawn to a certain type of story, which was fascinating to me. And then what got me really excited is thinking about how I can take advantage of that to improve how I see the world and then turn that into a better way of interacting with that world that I now perceive. And the way I kicked off the article was starting with a comparison of two twin sisters that start their Monday morning a little differently, Francine and Stacy. So Francine, Monday morning, her alarm starts to chime, and she wakes up, takes 2 deep breaths, and then gets out of bed, jumps in the shower, plays her favorite Monday morning song by the Rascals, It's a Beautiful Morning, in just as good a voice as that was, or hopefully better, and just starts her day off. And at the same exact time, her sister Stacy's waking up in the room next door to the buzzing of her alarm. She wakes up, immediately grabs her phone, starts scrolling through her feed, getting the latest news about what horrible thing happened today, or happened yesterday, or is going to happen tomorrow, and thinks to herself, great, another wonderful Monday. Happy Monday to me. And I have to ask, which of the sisters do you think is going to have a better day, week, month with that kind of approach to a day? Francine being the first one that woke up with a song and a few deep breaths, or Stacy waking up immediately, plugging in to what the news is trying to have her believe the world is. And obviously, I kind of biased you, made one of those sound a little bit better, but I think also it's obvious that most of us tend to live life like Stacy, the one that's looking through the newsfeed in the morning, just as soon as they see something shiny, starting getting drawn to it. And that's partially not our fault for a few reasons. We're addicted to dopamine, and that's going to be another article. And also, the main type of stories that we're drawn to, as Jonathan Gottschall mentions, is stories of danger or some sort of imminent threat on our life. And that's because evolutionarily, we used to actually use stories to try to simulate danger so we know that if we encounter something like this, we'll want to avoid it at all costs because it could kill us, make us sick, ruin our life in some way. So it was inherently valuable to prioritize that type of story in our mind because it meant survival. But at this point in life, there's a lot less imminent threats out there. We're not surrounded by poisonous snakes unless you live in the jungle or out in the desert. There's many less animals trying to eat us on a daily basis. We typically have shelter on average of some sort. So this mechanism still exists and drives our dreams. Most of us still dream mostly about some sort of threat, running away from something, or some sort of social threat now as we've evolved of being ostracized by a community. So that mechanism still exists and it's automatic. And naturally, the outlets that want to make money prioritize what people will look at and what they're drawn to. So if we're drawn to stories of danger, threat, violence, tragedy, they'll put more of that in front of us because it's what pays their bills. So if you know that, that's the out with the bad portion of the article, which is take stock of all of the negative influences in your life, right? Like try to actually become more conscious of what you're putting in your mind. How often are you actually consciously choosing what you have in your news feed or on your YouTube subscriptions and your Netflix stories that you watch, or shows, whatever you want to call them. So I've been using story a lot because of how often you use a story to describe everything. But yeah, taking stock of what you're actually putting in your mind is extremely valuable in all scenarios, not just stories. But with how much TV we watch and social media we consume, taking stock, but then also to going to the next level and actually filtering out the things that you know are influencing you in a negative way is extremely important. So, for example, if you have a news feed like Flipboard, Google News, what have you, you can select the settings on an article that may just be some sensationalistic thing that you know is just impacting you negatively, throwing off your day, and in no way impacts your daily life because you can't do anything about it, and it's not going to actually be a threat in your life. You can say, see fewer of these stories, or downvote it or something so you see less of that. Because whether you believe it or not, even if you don't think these stories are influencing you, they're shaping how you perceive the world and likely make you think it's much more of a dangerous, scary place than it is, suppressing your confidence and reducing your energy and enthusiasm of how you approach the world. You may say you're really enthusiastic, and you might be, but you could be even more enthusiastic and more energetic and approach the world with a vigor that is currently being subdued by the narrative you have fueled by these stories. Another piece that he goes deeper into is the role of psychotherapists is essentially being artful storytellers or story reshapers, because the powerful of our internal narratives has the potential to lead to depression and mental disorders, or happy, positive outlook on life. And one of their main tools is hearing someone's story, helping them reshape it in a way that benefits them instead of hinders them or hurts them, and that can stave off, number one, can stave off depression. So if they can do that, imagine if you're just kind of like groggy in the middle of the road, not necessarily depression or glee, but either way, changing your internal narrative by changing what you feed your mind can help you get to whatever mental state you want to be, which is super exciting for me. So then, next level, after you take stock of negative influences and remove them from your life, the natural next step is to amplify what is good in your life. So for the good videos, the good news stories, the good Netflix shows, YouTube videos, whatever, upvote those. If they make you smile, if they make you happy, if they give you some sort of brain tingle that gets you going, makes you learn something that's exciting and gets you just excited about the day, upvote those, increase their presence. And the place where things get a little more creative is actually realizing not just movies and pieces of paper and news articles or stories, but your life is a live action story. So the place you're in, your immediate surroundings, your nearby surroundings, and so on, people you surround yourself with, they are helping shape your daily narrative of your live action story. So it's worthwhile asking yourself, are the people I'm surrounding myself with helping create a story that I want to be a part of, right? Or is the place I'm going to work every day, or just my commute, is it part of a story that I would like to tell, or would like to just be in as a character? And if the answer is no, start trying to remove some of those places, things, or people that may be influencing you in a negative way. I give the example that at one point in my earlier days, I was in an area where I was drinking quite a bit, lounging around, just being a heavy consumer of mostly pizza and beer, and just good, what I thought was just pure good times. But it was taking a huge hit on my health. I weighed about 20, 30 pounds more than I do now, fueled on pizza grease and beer. Wake up hungover every weekend, and it was fun at the time, but getting away from that, removing myself from that situation, I was able to become much more healthier. I didn't wake up hungover. I had much more free time to study, improve grades, improve my health, and then still opt back in to see these people because I did love them and wasn't going to completely leave them behind, but on my own terms. So it wasn't always partying. It would be seeing them for lunch or dinner and just hanging out in the afternoon for a family event. So still able to maintain relationships, because it's not always possible just to say, this is somewhat bad for me, completely cut it off. Minimize exposure to these negative stories if you can. And yeah, in summary, Jonathan Gottschall, as a storytelling animal, goes through many different examples of how this is prevalent in our lives. He talks through his personal stories and history with his family, talks through the power of story as witnessed through Hitler's rise to power and how he took advantage of some of these mechanisms, and many others. It's a fascinating read. I'd suggest giving it a try if you're interested in this type of content and want to dive deeper. The affiliate link is below, which again helps out our site and our channel. The article summary is also below, and if you want to read more, please check out the article. If you have any questions, please don't forget, post them in a comment, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.